What's up? So let's talk about it. Saunders versus Canelo, or Canelo versus Saunders, whoever you wanna put first. Here's the deal. Everybody talked about how Canelo didn't look great in the early rounds, but if you know anything about boxing, and if you've been following their interviews leading up to this fight, you'll see Canelo said the first few rounds it's going to be competitive, and then I'll end up wearing him down and stopping him late, which is exactly what he did. I think there's a problem. I think that first off, let's start with the performance and what I thought about the performance. I thought Canelo's performance was really good. I know there's a lot of people saying he missed a lot of shots. And you know, obviously his kryptonite is fighters that can move. That's obvious. You know, we've seen that with Mayweather. We've seen that with Edis Landy Lara. You know, we've seen this movie before. But he's gotten better over the years against that style. He's learned how to cut the ring off a lot better over the years. He fought Mayweather like six or 7 years ago. I think people underestimate Canelo's skills. I think his punch placement, or as we say in southeastern Pennsylvania, his box game, I think his punch placement is up there with the best today. I think like as far as his boxing and his mind and where to go with his shots and when to go with his shots is up there with the best. I think it's up there with Terence Crawford. I think it's up there with Spence. I think it's up there with Fury. I think it's up there with Lomachenko. I'm not saying it's better than those guys, but I think it's up there. Canelo's shot placement, his punch placement is excellent, in my opinion. You know, I think it's just time. I know a lot of people don't like him for various reasons, you know what I'm saying? Some of them may be granted, you know. But I think it's time to give the guys credit, man. He's an excellent fighter. He looked, in my opinion, pretty damn good against a guy in Billy Joe who came in confident. He never lost a fight before, and he's in his own right. Billy is a good fighter too. Like Billy moves really well. He moves really well. He's a really good counter puncher. He's not the biggest puncher, which I think was his downfall in the fight. Canelo didn't respect him enough. You know what I mean? And that was the issue. That was why he was able to close the gap like that, because he didn't have to really think twice about Billy Joe Saunders' power. And you know, he was able to close that gap and again utilize that punch placement, man. The body shots was putting water in the well. That's an old boxing term if you don't know. Putting water in the well is basically meaning like going down to the body, and over time, over the fight, the fighter that moves really well, he starts to slow down. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened. Canelo put water in the well early, and Billy Joe slowed down. You know what I mean? And the accumulation of the punches over time affected him. And when he started slowing down, you can see Billy, you know, waving a man like, you know, come on, it's not hurting me, but it really was hurting him. You know, that's just a poker face in boxing. You know, try to make your opponent feel like you're not hurting me. You know what I'm saying? That what you just hit me with didn't affect me at all. Come on, give me more. It's just a poker face type of thing. I think Canelo looked really good. I think that Canelo should be the favorite against pretty much everybody at 168. I know Benavidez is tall, he's long, he's rangy, he throws a lot of punches. His punch placement is really good too. But I give Canelo another good chance in that fight, even though he's the shorter guy. I just think from a skill perspective, from a will perspective, and a heart perspective, Canelo got the upper hand against these guys. I think a tremendous fight would be him against Charlo. I think him and Charlo will be an excellent match because Charlo is a very athletic fighter. He also punches very hard himself. You know what I'm saying? Punch placement is not up there with Canelo's. His mind is probably not up there with Canelo's. And it's no knock to Charlo. He's an excellent fighter. But I would probably favor Canelo in that fight too. I think Charlo has a chance though, but I would favor Canelo in that fight early. Early prediction, I would favor Canelo in that fight too. His next fight, Caleb Plant. Well, his should-be next fight. Caleb Plant reminds me of Billy Joe. He's an orthodox fighter. He's very slick. He also has good punch placement. I think the thing with him though is the same thing as Billy Joe. I don't know if he has enough pop in his punch to keep Canelo off of him. I don't know if he has enough pop in his punch to keep Canelo off him. He moves really well. He's very slick. He has good footwork, just like Billy Joe. I just don't think, or I don't know if he has enough power to keep Canelo off of him. You know, it's going to be a very similar game plan. You know, keep Canelo at jab with keep Canelo at bay with the jab. You know, try to keep him on the outside as much as you can, because on the inside he has the leverage and he has the upper hand. I think he's probably a better inside fighter than Plant. So if I'm Plant, I would try to keep him on the outside, box him up, utilize that jab as much as possible. You know, slip that right hand in there. I think the uppercut is a good punch against Canelo. It's gonna be tough to beat Canelo right now, man. I would favor him pretty much against everybody in and around that weight class. 175 guys like Benavidez, Bivol, they might be a little too big for him. A little too big, a little too you know, they're bigger and young like he is. Kovalev was on his way out, so that was a really good time for Canelo to face him. But you know, it's 168, man. Canelo said he's going to campaign there for the next 7 years. So if that's the case, it's going to be hard to beat him. It's possible, but it's going to be hard to beat him, man. He's a really talented fighter. And like I said, you know, I know a lot of people don't like him because he comes off very arrogant and, you know, amongst other things. But if I'm just talking from a pure fight fan, a pure boxing perspective, bias out the window, throwing bias out the window. Canelo, to me, in my opinion, top 3 talent in boxing. Top 3. You know what I mean? You could argue that he's number 1. He's that good. As far as Billy Joe, you know, he can come back. Billy Joe can come back. He's good enough to come back. Another name I didn't mention was Demetrius Andrade. I think style-wise, that's obviously, you know, we know that Canelo's kryptonite is movers, right? I think style-wise, he I think style-wise, Andrade could definitely give Canelo some problems. I don't think Demetrius looked tremendous in his last fight. If he can't move effectively, I don't like his chances against Canelo. If Demetrius Andrade can't move effectively, I don't like his chances against Canelo. But if he can move, if he looks like the Demetrius we know, he could beat Canelo. He could beat him. As far as Billy Joe, people saying, well, you got some people saying that he quit due to the eye. You know, and they're questioning if we should call him a quitter or not. That's up to you guys to judge. I don't know what I would do in that situation. You know, obviously I say I wouldn't quit in that situation, but until you're in that situation, you really don't know what you'll do. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty much the best answer you can give. Looking from the outside, you're like, man, there's no way I'm quitting. I got my country on my back. I got my family pride to, you know, to uphold. There's no way I'm quitting. But I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. You know what I mean? But let me know what y'all think, man. All right?